Time for the latest in your business, and consumers are bracing themselves for another interest rate hike this week. Despite an ease in inflation, economists are largely expecting the Reserve Bank to hike rates, but they remain divided on whether rates will rise by 25 or 50 basis points. eNCA's business editor Devan Murugan has more.
The price of items in this basket is growing at its fastest pace since 2009. It's called inflation, and food inflation in particular is at an unbearable 14%. Your rand is buying you less, not just in a grocery store, but beyond. And that's where the Reserve Bank comes in. Its prime mandate is to stabilize the rand's purchasing power. And one way it does that is by hiking rates when inflation threatens to run away. Since November 2021, it's pushed up interest rates consecutively every 2 months, taking the prime rate to 11.25% from 7%. The Reserve Bank and Governor Lesetja Kganyago warns of a bigger calamity if it abandons its mandate to protect the rand.
The South African Reserve Bank is really hell-bent on trying to rein in the cost of living pressures for South Africans. And they've said as much that they would rather err on the side of hiking by too much rather than not hiking enough. And we find ourselves in a higher inflation environment for longer.
Those with home vehicle and other loan repayments are stretched far beyond they imagined when rates were at their lowest in that year. One economist says the hikes are doing far more harm than good. He says government should fight inflation by offering subsidies to the poor, like some countries in Europe are doing.
So they introduced price subsidies to protect the people. They introduced price caps to protect the people. They spent hundreds of billions of dollars in terms of these measures. And there also were industrial policy measures, like, for example, in the US, where they had the Inflation Reduction Act, where they introduced new subsidies to encourage renewables. There's a renewables boom in the US to get alternative energy sources. So what people are using is a mixture of fiscal and industrial policy measures to address this issue.
Inflation is showing signs of easing, coming in this week at 6.8% from 7.1%. That may see the Reserve Bank come in with a smaller 25 basis point hike. Devan Murugan, Johannesburg.